All right, what's up, y'all? My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. This is Dante. We're up here on the side of the mountain. I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, this is In the Image Clothing Company's main side, and that's just one of our fourths. Here on In the Image Clothing Company's main side, what we do is allow the body to work. We do it through clothing, but really we do it through anything that clothes the human being. We call it clothing, okay? Anything clothing the human body. So, I'm gonna sit down for a bit so I'm not squatting for that entire time that I'm discussing what I am until I show what I do in this. This video's title is the Extensor Hallucis Longus muscle and shoelaces. Now, that's a term, okay? There's a muscle in the ankle that extends the big toe, that lifts the big toe, that allows the foot to lift up or dorsiflex. And, well, we're in the Image Clothing Company. We allow the body to work. That's the only thing you can do. The only end on getting the body to, or having the body be, or whatever, is allowing the body to work. The human body, and same with the body of dogs, okay, on In the Image Clothing Company, poodles, another one of our fourths, where we let dogs stay natural. That's the same thing as allowing the body to work here on the main side of In the Image Clothing Company. It's just got its own slogan because it's its own fourth of In the Image Clothing Company. But the bodies are just mechanical machines. It's just operations of hinges and levers and rotations, functionality in the ways that it has it to just move across the surface of the earth, okay? And Dante and I have been moving across the surface of this mountain to get up here. It's awesome. I love this dog so much. So we have the body with a neutral. We have a neutral center line to the body. There's a neutral to the center of gravity's pull, and the body itself has its own center of gravity. So we've got the sternum, the spine, the trachea, the nose, and then the jaw stabilizing the entire body. These things all have to stay in the center to keep us centered, okay? It has to happen for functionality to happen. What we have is feet down at our foundation, opposing the center line of the body, keeping us vertical by gripping arches inward, okay? What was that, boy? Heard a noise? So did I. We have muscles connecting from the outside of the body, really the outside of the shoulder in this case, into the center line in the front of the sternum, pulling evenly on both sides. Okay, centered. In the rear of the body, we have muscles connecting from the outside of the shoulder. Really, it's from the scapulas, or those big bones on the upper backs that really are the shoulders, okay? From those scapula into the spine, we have muscles connecting, opposing the center line, and there you go, keeping us centered, okay? We have the human body only pulling. There's a video here under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company titled, The Human Body Only Pulls. All musculature just pulls the endpoints where it inserts to bones through tendons together, okay? So we pull an endpoint to an endpoint to close a joint, but even in what seems like a push, we're actually just pulling muscles together on the back side of a function to extend a hinge joint. Even when our bodies are going away from us, we're actually pulling, okay? So the human body only pulls. It has to oppose its center line. The feet have to be working the only way they do. There's a video under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here titled, There Is Only One Way the Feet Work. Just through bones connecting to bones, through ligaments, with a thin layer of cartilage between them, and then the muscles connecting those bones together to allow operation of the body's skeletal system. There's only one way the feet work. There is only one way the hands work. Those are a couple videos I filmed back to back down in beautiful St. George, Utah. We live up Utah, as In the Image Clothing Company, meaning a lot of this, right? We do so much and always will under the gift of video. That's a big part of just what we are as all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company is videos. A lot with the poodles. Our information on letting dogs stay natural applies to all dogs, and a lot of the information would apply to just about all animals across the earth. And things like this, in nature is what it means for In the Image Clothing Company to live up Utah. And things like church history within the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, because of reasons I'll get into. If that doesn't quite make sense, because we're a clothing company, and I'm talking about poodles and the Extensor, what's it called? Longus. What's the middle word to it? If I think of it, I think of it. But I said at the beginning at least once in here, okay? But that's what we do. We discuss the anatomy of the human body in depth, and that's how we allow it to work, is by just being intentional about everything, though. Not just what's clothing it. Standing, walking, eating, breathing, sleeping, hydration. We talk about all of it for human beings and dogs. But we've got shoes, right? And shoelaces, okay? Shoelaces are just ropes. So this is what happens to the body. You notice animals, they just tend to work. They're not stretching, they're not working out, they're not warming up before they have to chase down their prey to eat, right? No. Animals just work. Human beings, we're placed in this man-made world, placed onto God's natural earth. And we have a lot of things that are really unnatural. And, sorry buddy, you got a little bit of a matting there in your head hair. It's really, really, really windy. We're down in this little ravine and there's not very much wind, but it was really windy up there on the mountainside. But we have unnatural materials, things in our food when we talk about eating naturally, right? With the goal being natural on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company. One of the big things we discuss is eating. Artificial, synthetic, unnatural. These are all synonyms with fake, okay? And there's a lot of materials like this nowadays. Things that can come with this in clothing are stretch. Stretch in clothing goes the opposite direction of the only way the muscles work. The only reason we need muscles is to operate our body's skeletal frame and move the bones. And all the muscles do in the body is pull the endpoints where they're inserted to bones together. Okay, the human body only pulls, just pulling those endpoints of muscles together at the bones to move the bones. So when we've got stretch in clothing, or stretch in shoelaces, which is something that is clothing the human body, shoelaces, clothing, okay, glasses, clothing, jewelry. It is clothing the human body with something, okay, whatever it is. We have to be extremely intentional about these things because there's truly only one way the human body could ever work. And if you think that's a claim or some new kind of information that I'm trying to come up with, well, no, it's been the same since always, and we're designed in the image of God. That's where our first three of our 5-word company name come from, which is really just one word, right? No spaces between the 5 words there. And In the Image Clothing Company. But being designed in the image of God, Jesus Christ designed our bodies. They only work how they do. It's just a mechanical machine placed onto this rock that is our earth. And there's just a neutral to all of it. Okay, there's a neutral like the wrist here from up or down. There's neutral to rotations. From the neutral, you have internal rotation, back to the neutral, then external rotation. In the forearms, from the fingertips to the elbow. In the entire arms, from the fingertips to the shoulder capsule. From the neutral, internal rotation. From the neutral, external rotation. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. Truly, okay? There's no opinion, no nothing. I'm not gonna even say much more of anything about that right now. It's just what it is. I just know that some people have a hard time hearing that. By training the body to try to get it to do something, it's physically, mechanically impossible to try to get your body to do anything. There's just a neutral. When we rest our arms down at our sides, right, just hanging down with Earth's gravity, what we have is Dante right in the frame. What we have is just the arms hanging down with gravity. The fingertips are still the shoulder capsule. Okay, if we call it a shoulder capsule. The fingertips are still just the shoulder joint where the collarbone or the clavicle meets the scapula at the top of it with a little chromium piece to it, and then the upper arm bone, which is the humerus. The fingertips are the shoulder, and gravity just pulls our arms straight down from where the fingertips connect to the shoulder. There's just only one way the human body could ever work. And what I'm so grateful for, as I, express my gratitude for often, is just how God's given me the understanding of how to explain this. Because we couldn't possibly have an opinion here with what we do under In The Image Clothing Company. First of all, it wouldn't matter. There's only truth to life. But that's what I'm saying, is we don't have a company here that's like a business. But In The Image Clothing Company, we are a company of people, or a community of people. We do a lot with dogs. Hey, come here, boy. Dante. Hey, come here. Stop it. Come here. Come. He's trying to just chew through the leash. You were caught up for like, what, 30 seconds? A minute, maybe? You just try to chew through the leash. You can get to me. What a silly dude. You just chew through your leash, huh? Man. Anyway, yeah, we do things with people. We do things with dogs. We do things in nature to live up Utah. A big thing to say right now, after just yelling at Dante for almost ruining his leash when he doesn't even need to try to get anywhere else. He can get to me just fine with the amount of slack he has. In The Image Clothing Company Poodles is another one of the fourths to In The Image Clothing Company. And we let dogs stay natural, but we give information on how to be a good owner of dogs. Holy cow, how to yell at your dog when it's proper to do so. Okay. Seriously. Keeping less dogs in shelters and more dogs at homes by showing how to breed properly. We breed purebred standard poodles and register them properly in all the ways that we can. That's another thing we advocate for. Holding leashes naturally and not altering our bodies as the owners as we do so. And just things like the height of the dog versus the height of the owner, right? So that we don't alter our bodies to try to get to our dogs just to interact with them. There's a lot that we do under In The Image Clothing Company Poodles, in addition to the health of the dogs with letting dogs stay natural. And a lot of that will be in-person things with people, but also just a lot through the gift of video. Things like poodle parade events here in the state of Utah. And wherever we go with events, right? But we're based in St. George, Utah. I just need to move down there as of today's date, the 19th of December, 2025. But getting people into nature and dogs into nature through poodle parade events, yeah, it'll be great. And then subcategories like clean the creek or rid the rubbish, where we can go around and actually pick up trash and do things for the environment. Okay. Under poodle parade events. Those are some of the subcategories of just, if we're doing specific events for specific reasons, we'll label them things like that, for the reasons we're there to do the events. So anyway, we do a lot here under In The Image Clothing Company on each of the four sides of us. So they're very intentional. And I very intentionally yelled at Dante because he was going to ruin his leash. Okay, for no reason. Look at him. He's right here. What a silly boy. Okay, there's the wind. All right, so what we've got is the body working the only way it does, okay? Just neutrals to everything, neutrals to rotations, neutrals to hinges, neutrals to roundings to things, like in the hands, we have these rounded hands. I call them hand arches. They correlate with the arches in our feet, and they're only gonna be there if the arches in our feet are there, okay? So, in this video, like we're talking about, the Extensor, Hallucis, Longus, there you go, I remember the name. Connecting from the big toe up the leg to about halfway, give or take, up this lower leg, and it's allowing us to lift the toes, which is dorsiflexion of the foot. And then we have the other end of lifting the toes, which is plantar flexion, or pointing the foot, okay? So we talk about a lot of things with the feet. The importance of zero drop shoes, the term just meaning flat on the bottom. These are Vans shoes, by the way, just to give credit to whose brand these are. Okay, Vans, the skate shoe brand, like skateboarding shoes. If we have our feet flat on the ground, within a man-made shoe, then it's like our feet are just flat on the ground without wearing a man-made shoe, and that's the only way the feet work. The winds of change. The winds of change. The winds of change. The winds of change. Okay. So we can have a neutral to plantar flexion versus dorsiflexion. Ooh, you hear the clicking in my ankle there? Yeah, getting out of the chronic patterning and scar tissue that we get into through oversized clothing, imbalances in clothing, ropes introduced to the body like this, shoelaces, drawstrings, anything tied around the body in a knot. Okay? There's only one way the human body could ever work. So we get into chronic patterning and scar tissue builds up in the body, trying to work around things that it just can't very well at all, because there's only one way it works. If we place things on it that don't just sit on it in the angles and locations and positions that the body works in, the body won't be able to work. Okay, that's where In The Image Clothing Company comes in. So, yeah, dorsiflexion, plantar flexion, there's a neutral. We've got a video here under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled The Importance of Even Ankle Flexion, because we have to have, in all the ways that we can, even everything in the body that has two sides, right? There's opposing sides to things in the body. There's opposition in all things. You wouldn't have motion if there wasn't two sides, because you could just only have a one-time motion, and now you'd never go anywhere again. The only way it can move and operate is because there's two sides. And really, it wouldn't move to one side if there wasn't a side for it to move from to the other. I mean, there wouldn't be motion unless there was two sides. We talk about how there's opposition in all things, okay, in life. Under In The Image Clothing Company podcast, another one of our forwards, we have deep discussions on the gospel of Jesus Christ. The winds of change. Context, a lot of these foundational documentation videos, they're not meant to be like worldly standard professional quality videos. A lot of it really is just for the time stamp and the date mark of us saying information at a certain time, so that it's congruent and it lines up, and you know that it's In The Image Clothing Company's information, okay? That we've been the same since the founding, and that we're just discussing things that we could never take credit for. Allowing the human body to work is God's design. We're just learning about and just unrestricting. Letting dogs stay natural, again, just God's design. We're just learning about and not restricting the dogs, okay? So we have discussions on what we call the truth of all things. There's just truth to life. There's always something before you can have an opinion on something. There's always something before you can make a decision for or against it. And that thing that always remains and underlies everything else is truth in all aspects of anything, or nothing would exist. We're on the episode number 195 of In The Image Clothing Company podcast as of a couple nights ago, okay, from today's date back. So, yeah, there's opposition in everything in life. And if we don't have even opposition, the feet evenly opposing the center line of the body, gripping arches inward to just keep us over Earth's even center to gravity when there's an opposite side to fall to, the left or the right or the front or the back, right? There's opposition, and that's how things are what they are. Anyway, no belief, no religion, no opinion that you have or care about In The Image Clothing Company podcast and what we discuss within the gospel of Jesus Christ. It's like what I say within clothing. You don't have to care about clothing. If it's damaging your body, it's damaging your body. And if you care or not, if you believe it is or not, it's just the case, right? Again, truth is truth. It's apart from all of us. And the truth is, there's only one way the feet's shaped. The truth also is, at least as of today's date, there's a video under the main site of In The Image Clothing Company titled that. There is only one way the feet are shaped. There's only one way the feet are shaped. Yes. We've got a lot of videos, right? Right around 400 videos, like 350 something videos as of today's date on the main site of In The Image Clothing Company alone, just giving information like this. This is what we do, right? We'll always have good clothing, human being clothing, staying centered, Fitting Correct, where we discuss clothing sits for everybody for the mechanical operation of the human body, and in all the ways that we can, being made from 100% natural materials. And then same with dog products, things like collars, leashes, and harnesses, and similar things, whatever else we branch out into product-wise as time progresses. There you go. Things like keeping collars centered is one of the biggest things. I'm really pretty upset with him for chewing on the leash. There was no need. He's totally content. He was not even trying to go anywhere. He was just sitting there chewing on it. It was kind of wrapped around his legs, but not in a way where he was like really stuck. He's just such a good dog. He doesn't chew on things. I mean, at all that I've seen. He's just sitting there chomping on the leash. Anyway. Weird behavior there, Dante. I mean, he's right next to me. Anyway, so we've got products available where we do, when we do. Not yet, but in InTheImageClothingCompany.com. At least not yet as of today's date. That's where our products will always be. All of what we do on all four sides of In the Image Clothing Company come down to our one-word company name, our five-word company name, essentially, right? In the Image Clothing Company. So you can find what we do on all four sides by just our one name, okay? So, with the feet, what we have is, there's only one way they're shaped. We talked about here, the bottoms of the feet. When we put our feet down, and really what that is pointing the toes or plantar flexion, we need to be very intentional about the bottom of the feet, the sole of the shoe, okay, if we have shoes on. The feet only work barefooted. A video I filmed also down there in beautiful St. George, Utah, on the Red Rocks, okay, at Sandstone down there. It's a true desert down there, okay, in southern Utah. The very southernmost end of Utah is where St. George, Utah, the town is. The feet only work barefooted means we can wear shoes, but they just have to be a covering for the foot without altering the foot's functionality. All the bones, ligaments, tendons, and muscles gripping an arch, having dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, being able to roll in or out, having rotations from the neutral, pinky toe straight forward, internal rotation versus external rotation in that lower leg alone from the foot to the knee, and then from the foot up to the hip and the entire leg from the neutral, pinky toe straight forward, internal rotation and external rotation, okay? This is all coming from our base foundation at our feet. So they truly only will work the only way they're designed to work by God before human beings design shoes to put on them that could potentially alter the only way the feet work. There is only one way the feet work, okay? So in these Vans shoes here, what we've got is, well, ideally, zero drop. These are not exactly zero drop inside the insole of the shoe, but as you can see, the sole of the shoe is just flat on the ground. Okay, neutral. The importance of even ankle flexion. Pointing the toe, plantar flexion, neutral on the ground, and then lifting the toe, dorsiflexion. And what lifts that toe, like I said, is this muscle connecting from the outer bone of the lower leg, the fibula, okay, and coming down and connecting out to the big toe on the top of it. We've got two bones in the lower leg, tibia, fibula, allowing for rotations. Internal and external rotation from the neutral. Oh my gosh, my left knee. Holy cow. Talk about allowing the body to work. Okay, I will. Here we go. Just like in the forearms, we've got a radius and ulna, two bones in there, allowing for rotations, internal and external rotation from the neutral. The two bones in the forearms, as well as the two bones in the lower leg, you can see it by putting your own arms together and rotating one arm over the other. That's how the bones are rotating, allowing for rotation at the extremity, the hand or the foot, okay, in the forearm or the lower leg. The bones are actually rolling over each other. Okay, so there's only one way all this happens. There's only one neutral to all of this. And Now we've got shoes placed on our feet, and then we've got shoelaces. So now we've got this video's title under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, the Extensor, Hallucis, Longus muscle, and shoelaces. And now you know why it's titled that. If you didn't know what In the Image Clothing Company was before this video, welcome. Now you understand what's going on here. Okay, at least you have the opportunity to, because I've discussed why this video is titled the way it is. Now we can talk about this. Dorsiflexion, or lifting the toes, okay, half the foot's function from the neutral, with the other half being plantar flexion, or pointing the toes. That's just the top of the foot. Lifting the feet up has basically nothing to do with the sole of the shoe, okay? And we focus on the soles of shoes in life often, as human beings, it's common too. But under In the Image Clothing Company, one of our two prerequisites to not alter the body, in addition to just where we discuss clothing sits for everybody on this universal human design we have, designed in the image of God, is In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is just the only way the top of the feet are shaped. Because as we grip an arch in the foot, okay, we've got a video titled The Height of a Gripped Arch here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. It grips from the outside in, then we're neutral, straight forward from that pinky toe. And as it grips with our different length toes, from the pinky toes being the shortest on the outsides, the toes come up and in to those big toes, kind of pointing like an arrow to the center line of the body. Okay. And what we have is our feet rolling evenly with the pressure off the ends of our different length toes. So, feet arches actually grip by pulling the toes to the heel. And when they do, since the length of the toes is different, they pull in and back from toes to heel, okay? Then you're neutral, straight forward from the pinky toe, and we walk and roll evenly off the end of our different length toes. The feet roll in a little bit, and there you go. The top of the foot is only shaped how it is, okay? The big toe on the inside of the foot is the biggest big toe, is what we call it, okay, often. There you go. And the feet slant down and out to the pinky toe on the outside, which is the smallest toe. So, we've got videos under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company titled these, okay? Keeping heels on the ground because of the importance of zero drop shoes, okay? And 2 points of contact from the pinky toe to the heel to grip, pulling from the outside in to grip an arch. If you lift your heel off the ground, the pinky toe being the shortest can't grip, and then our foot collapses the arch and goes into external rotation just because of the mechanics of the foot with the different length toes, okay? External rotation is only half from the neutral to internal rotation, okay? The hands and the feet are just about the exact same thing in their mechanics, only one difference in the amount of bones in each, and we can show the operations with the foot by using the hand. Both neutrals are straightforward out that pinky finger and pinky toe. Same amount of digits, right? 5 fingers, 5 toes. There is only one way the hands work. There is only one way the feet work. Like I said, 2 videos here under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. Like I said, no new information as in the Image Clothing Company. We couldn't take credit for any of this, but we do discuss the truth, unchanging since God, okay? God, Jesus Christ himself, is the same yesterday, today, and forever. He never changes. He designed our bodies in his image. The human body will never change. Our information under In the Image Clothing Company, as long as it's aligning with truth, will never change. There is only one way the feet work. In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique is truly just the only way that top of the feet are shaped. The wind came right then, okay? So, here you go, right? Found where you find it, In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique. We need our feet to just be able to track evenly, okay? Forward, rolling evenly off the end of the different length toes, gripping from the outside of the pinky toe inward, opposing the center line of the body, keeping us stable. Tracking up and down, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion, neutral. Being on the ground with the heels on the ground in zero drop shoes, the term, or just barefooted. And a lot of that's determined by the waistband of our pants. A lot of it's determined by the seams of the shoulders in our clothing. And anywhere throughout. The jaw, stabilizing the entire body in this right-handed world. A lot of times, that's a big problem, okay? We live in a right-handed world. It is what it is. Well, we'll talk about all that we need to talk about in this, so let's talk about this that we need to talk about. Okay, the foot and the extensor, hallucis, longus muscle, okay? Since that big toe is the biggest toe, the tallest toe, and the height of a gripped arch, okay? The foot slants from that big toe down and out to the pinky toe. The extensor hallucis longus muscle connects from the end of the big toe, comes up, the big toe is functioning, through the ankle, and then out to the outside of the lower leg to the fibula. About halfway up the toe, well, no, about halfway up the leg. And as we grip and arch inward, imagine the muscle connecting from the well, don't imagine it like you have to imagine it, but try to picture it because this is what's happening. The muscle connecting from the inside toe, the big toe, down at the end of the foot, up, and then out to the outside of the leg. As that muscle does all that muscles do in the body, right? The human body only pulls. Muscles just take two endpoints, in this case here at the big toe, traveling up the foot, through the ankle joint, out to the outside of the lower leg, about halfway up the lower leg to this fibula, pulling together from those two endpoints. What is that doing? That's dorsiflexing, ow, the foot. Okay, I hit my fingernails together, like right under the bed of my fingernail when I said ow. There's only one way the feet work, okay? And this is the big thing, is it's not only lifting the toe straight up. The winds of change, brother. The winds of change. Dante's just bedded down in the grass down here. He didn't need to chew on his leash. That's why I yelled so sternly at him. It was just pointless chewing. He wasn't stuck. And I was right next to him. Silly dog. In that instance, it was silly behavior for him specifically. He doesn't do that. He's a good dog. Weird. That was really weird. So, we have now dorsiflexion. Sure. Because we're pulling an endpoint down at the foot, at the very base of the body, at the big toe, up to something higher, about halfway up the lower leg. So that's going to pull the toe, being the end of the lever joint of the ankle of the human being, up to the lower leg. Okay, about halfway up. There you go, dorsiflexion. But we're also connecting from the inside of the foot up to the outside of the leg. So we're coming up and out. Arches grip in and back. You pull from the big toe up and out, and really you're pulling the whole foot in and back. Dorsiflexion as well at the same time. Okay, yeah. There's only one way the human body could ever work. So, in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, what we have then is all that stuff being able to happen that we're discussing in the foot, everything that's going on in the foot. Well, if we use in the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, which, I mean, it's not some kind of like, let me tell you about it and go find it somewhere and dig deeply into all of our stuff that we have to see if you can get there maybe. No, it looks just like this, right? I mean, but I'm just not going to, focus much more on exactly how to do it in this video. I mean, you can get it from that, but we tie shoes evenly over toward the inside of the body on both feet. Just because there's two sides to the body, we have to oppose the center line of the body on Earth's center of gravity. and the feet arches grip inward, opposing the center of the body. And the human body's centered line, your center of gravity, is a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. There's only one way we can allow any of this to happen, and the only way we can get it to work is you can't get it to work. You can only allow it to work. Allowing the body to work is In the Image Clothing Company's main site's slogan, one of our fourths to all that we are as In the Image Clothing Company. And there's a lot that we are as In the Image Clothing Company, okay? There's only one way the feet are going to be able to have that extensor hallucis longus muscle. Be able to just track in line. Where's my toe? There's my toe. Watch it pop up in the bottom of the frame, right? Dorsiflex, dorsiflex, dorsiflex. That's coming directly from that big toe. Well, all the toes that are lifting are having something connect to them and then coming from there up to somewhere else to pull them up from where they once were, flat on the surface of the earth in zero drop shoes, the term. And going from that position to a higher one, lifting or dorsiflexing, okay? But the big toe is the biggest toe. And that extensor hallucis longus muscle, it's going to be the one that's just like protruding most out of the foot. I mean, that's the point with saying that, we have to lift the whole foot, and there's a lot of muscles going down in the foot to do that, from the lower leg and the knee joint area. Okay, the importance of even Achilles tendon insertions, a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, that's plantar flexion, but there you go. The opposite end of dorsiflexion. There's only dorsiflexion because there's plantar flexion. There's opposition in all things. Don't believe me. Well, that's a good thing to say. There we go. Don't believe me, Evan Strong, the founder in this for life leading In the Image Clothing Company, or In the Image Clothing Company. Don't believe In the Image Clothing Company either, okay? Or anybody at In the Image Clothing Company's team, or any information we ever give, or anybody ever in life, because there's only truth to life, you know? And so if you don't believe in anything, stuff still has to exist, because you're still there to have the opportunity to believe in something, even if you don't believe you're there. You can only not believe you're there because you're there to not believe you're there. Okay, the gospel of Jesus Christ, the truth of all things. No religion. Okay, there's no religion to life. I'm a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. That's a lot of what we do under In the Image Clothing Company, if we can say that we do the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Then yes, okay, there you go. But it's not a religion. That's what I mean. It's a place we congregate together as human beings to get down to the truth of life. There's only truth to life, okay? And there's two sides to everything. So, on this side of the foot function, the winds of change, man, the winds of change. Dante's just sleeping. He's just chilling. I don't think you can see him in the camera lens, right now, but lifting the foot, dorsiflexion. We dorsiflex, to lift the foot off the ground, to swing the leg underneath us, and then we step back down on the ground and we plant our flex to push off, and then we dorsiflex to lift up. So there's opposition in all things, you see. There's only one way the human body could ever work, and now you can at least, have the opportunity to see that better than maybe you did before watching this video up until this point. So when we tie our shoes, the knot should not be anywhere else besides the angle of the ankle flexion. Okay, the angle of the ankle, that's what I like to call it, because I like the alliterations, as you can tell if you can. Poodle Parade events, Clean the Creek, Poodle Parade events, Rid the Rubbish, Poodle Parade events, In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, what did I say here, though? I was talking about something. We're talking about the feet, and the wind's talking to me. Truly, it's windy. Yeah, this is awesome. I love this. I'm so grateful to be able to do this. I'm in this for life. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. I'm in this for life because I am me, Evan Strong, as the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. So, alliterations. Wind noise. Tying the shoes. Always stop lacing at ankle flexion. Always stop laces at ankle flexion, however it's exactly titled. That's a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company. Oh, the angle of the ankle. That's where we got to, okay? That's where the alliteration discussion there just started at in this video. We stop our lacing right where the ankle flexes, because that's where the ankle flexes, okay? And that's where we stop weaving a rope across the top of the mechanics of the human foot's functionality that only has one way it connects and operates. Just being the mechanical machine that the human body is. I mean, it's just the truth of, it's just the truth. It's just the truth of all things, the gospel of Jesus Christ. There's 2 more eyelets in these Vans shoes, okay? I could have gone 2 eyelets higher with weaving this rope through the canvas of this man-made clothing item we call a shoe. I'm so grateful to be able to just sit here and do this. Speak truth that will never change, just authentically, in a fun way. Hanging out with Dante, screaming at him there a little bit, yelling pretty loud at him, right, for chewing on his leash. It was so weird. What a weirdo in that instance. It was weird. Ow, that actually kind of hurt. My hands are kind of cold. The angle of the ankle, we stopped the lacing there because this extensor hallucis longus muscle, as well as every muscle going into motion of the foot, stemming from above the foot in the lower leg, okay, up to the knee area at that knee joint. It's got to pass through that ankle, and the ankle still needs all its motion. There's only one way the foot works. The foot doesn't really matter for the rest of the body if it can't be connected to the rest of the body. And the rest of the body doesn't really matter to the foot unless the foot's connected to the rest of the body. The human body can only ever work activated as a whole. Anywhere any of your body goes, all of you comes. Everything has its own individual role to play, and you can't drag around dead weight. So no compensation can happen for anything not playing its role in the body. It's just what it is, okay? So, all the functionality happening in the ankle joint is passing through where we tie our shoes. Where the flexion happens, right at the ankle joint. The foot doesn't matter without an ankle, okay? It would just be a peg. We just have the base of our lower leg bones, no foot. Just walk around on stick legs, right? Some people, amputation, deformity, major surgery, birth defect, whatever it is that sets you apart quite a bit, a little bit, anywhere in between, anything. We're all human beings. We're all different in the ways we are. There's only one way the human body could ever actually mechanically work, though, and just function the way that it is, what it is, in all the ways, actually. So in all of our situations, we need to get as close as we can to the only way the human body functions and was designed by God in this universal human design. We can just learn the anatomy, and it applies to everybody of the human body across the entire planet forever, right? Man, woman, tall, short, skinny, fat, any age, any part of the earth, any time period to ever be. You're just a human being. When I discuss where clothing sits as the founder of the Image Clothing Company, to not alter the human body with its only workings, as I'm doing here, with shoelaces that are only ropes. Round, ideally, okay? Round. No stretch by any means, okay? It's very unnatural. What was I saying about having your body be potentially different? The foot's just the lever of the ankle, okay? The ankle's the joint, and the foot's the lever that just propels us, pushing off the ground with plantar flexion and then just lifting up with dorsiflexion, basically just to be able to plantar flex again, because we use the bottom of our feet almost always, right? I mean, standing on the surface of the earth with gravity pulling us down. I love Dante. He's just chilling, sleeping. I'm discussing the feet of the human body on the side of a mountain in Utah County on the 19th of December, 2025. Eternal truth. Information that will never change because I didn't decide it. Okay. God did. I didn't design my body. Okay. We didn't design it, we can't decide it. That's an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast. Here's the foot of mine inside of a Vans branded shoe. Gray in color. high tops. We talk about high tops. I love high tops. Not my opinion. I, as the founder, Evan Strong of In the Image Clothing Company, talk about how high tops are very beneficial. For this reason is one of them. You know, there's a lot of reasons. We don't want to just be cutting into the joint of the ankle with our low cut shoes. If we have something just fully over the joint, okay, not restricting the joint by having the lacing stop right at the angle of the ankle flexion, then there you go. High tops and boots, somewhere around 6 inches is, you know, a good height for footwear. You'll see me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company, and you have, or at least have the opportunity to, up until today's date, through documentations under the gift of video on what we do as In the Image Clothing Company. I wear high tops and you know, boots, or somewhere around 6 inches is a really good height, okay, for the body's functionality. But stopping that lacing right at the ankle's flexion so we don't restrict the ankle's flexion, dorsiflexion and plantar flexion from the neutral on the Earth's surface. The feet only work barefooted, but we can make shoes that are a good covering that allow the feet to just work barefooted. Good brands like Zero Shoes, the brand, they do amazing things, okay? I shout them out and have been since the founding, like the very beginning of In the Image Clothing Company. I've got many pairs of Zero Shoes, the brand, okay? They have zero drop, the term, incorporated into their designs. They're also just a great company, as far as I can tell. Okay, so the feet. The extensor hallucis longus muscle. The big toe is what it's connecting to, which is the biggest toe of the 5 that you might or might not have, but in the universal human design baseline, there's 5 toes in the feet. The grip arches inward, opposing the central line of the body to keep us vertical on Earth. Keeping feet in the outsides of shoes is a video under the main site of In the Image Clothing Company, also filmed down in beautiful St. George, Utah, about a month ago, from today's date back, by me, Evan Strong, the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. Okay, let's talk about this a little bit more direct than referencing things in as silly of a way as we could. Let's say it like that. Yeah, the feet just work in the outside of the shoes because we stand on the outside of our feet. That's where the pressure is that we then can grip in from those pinky toes. But the big toe being the biggest, and then that extensor hallucis longus muscle coming up from the big toe through the ankle joint, and then crossing through the ankle joint to the outside of the foot. No, to the outside of the lower leg from the inside of the foot. It crosses through that ankle joint. And it's like right in the front of the ankle joint, right up from that big toe, okay? And then it crosses, yeah, up and out to the fibula on the outside of the lower leg. And there we go. That's how we're gripping that arch. That's how the big toe is playing into gripping the arch, with all the rest of the foot and ankle and lower leg playing into that. Well, the upper leg and the hips and the spine and the shoulders out to the hands, up to the tip of the head, through the jaw, stabilizing the entire body. All that as well is going into gripping and arching the foot. The human body only works activated as a whole. Everything's there. It's a kinetic chain. The feet have a knot. If we're tying laces that have been laced up to the angle of the ankle flexion, we tie a knot and we do it with the outside of the rope over top of the inside of the rope, just because that's how the foot works. If we're going to be having a knot tied around the ankle, that's how the knot that's tied around the angle of the ankle here, not around it, but through the eyelets there. That's how it's going to allow the foot to track in line with our different length toes and just the operation of how the feet work. The only way they ever could. All opinions aside. Which is what we try all that we can to do as In the Image Clothing Company, is keep all of our opinions aside. Opinions don't help anybody. Not the person with them or the person delivering them to somebody else. You know, the other person doesn't, it doesn't matter. Nobody benefits from opinions. Opinions are on truth. Truth is there. You can have an opinion on it, or you can not, and just let truth be truth, because it is There's only one way your body works, regardless of what opinion you have on how you could train a gripped arch. It's physically, mechanically impossible. In the Image Clothing Company gives the truth. In our imperfect ways, we do all that we can to. So don't believe us, but it lines up. This does, at least. Okay, and really what we do does. That's the point. Okay. And if it doesn't, we try to do all that we can to correct what we've said for the sake of just delivering incredible, good information to change lives. My life has been changed through this as one of the many things that God has given me. One of those many things that Jesus Christ, God himself, has given me is the human body that has this extensor Hallucis longus muscle, only working the way that it does. Okay, I'm the founder of In the Image Clothing Company. My name is Evan Strong. I'm in this for life. This is our information, right? This is authentically coming from In the Image Clothing Company's founder, Evan Strong, here, out of personal experience, trial and error, prayer and revelation, just learning how God's design of the human being actually operates, because none of us could ever decide, but we can learn how it does and allow it to work, which is our slogan. Allowing the body to work under the main side of In the Image Clothing Company here. When we tie our shoes evenly over toward the inside on both feet, the location that knot will, as long as it's allowed to, kind of, just be where it needs to be. But really the point is it needs to be right where that specifically extensor hallucis longus muscle crosses through the ankle joint. The reason why is because the big toe's the biggest toe. When we grip an arch, the big toe's the highest toe. When we walk and we have flexion in that ankle, dorsiflexion versus plantar flexion, with the upper of the shoe around the ankle and the front part of it having that knot be placed on it, where that knot's placed needs to be on that extensor hallucis longus muscle, because it's the farthest most forward part of the ankle joint. I know what I'm talking about. So don't believe me. That's how we give the glory to God. Is being able to know things that have nothing to do with us, but entirely affect us at the same time. It's the 19th of December, 2025. I'm hanging out with Dante here on the side of a mountain. If we have that knot right where that extensor hallucis longus muscle crosses through the ankle from the fibula down the outside of the leg, crossing to the inside of the foot through the ankle, out to the end of the big toe, on the inside of the foot there. Then as we flex our ankle, where the two sides of the rope that we call a shoelace, which is tied over toward the inside of the foot on both feet, opposing the center line of the human body. In that location, that rope is just, it's got a point of two sides of a rope meeting together on the front of the ankle, where the flexion's happening, at the farthest most forward part of the front of the ankle, which is right here, okay? Right where that knot will just sit if you do In the Image Clothing Company's shoelace technique, how we discuss under In the Image Clothing Company, and we couldn't take credit for it, but it is what it is. It's God's design of the human being. It'll never change. There's only one way the human body could ever work. Okay. We're just weaving ropes across the feet. We're just tying knots around the ankle joint. They're just bones that don't move by themselves. They only move where they connect to other bones, and between there's a little layer of cushioning we call cartilage that we can't wear out, because we only have one body. The only thing that we have is an episode title of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, where we discuss the gospel of Jesus Christ, aka the truth of all things, aka the good news of God, which is the gospel of Jesus Christ, translated into a different way of understanding the same thing. The human body is the only thing you have in this life. Everything else can come and go. Dante can go back to the shelter after I foster him, or I might end up adopting him for the rest of his entire lifetime. I could be his owner and take care of him and yell at him when he chews on other things, like I yelled at him for chewing on his leash in this video. You sleeping, Dante? Yeah, you're a good boy. Picked his head up and looked at me. You can keep sleeping. I just wanted to serve God, so I founded In the Image Clothing Company, and I'm in this for life. It applies to every human on the face of the planet, and those that are not on the face of the planet as well. There's only one way the human body could ever work. I'm trembling a little bit. Part of it's this fairly uncomfortable position that I've been in for quite some time here. Part of it's that it's a little bit cold here in winter in the Utah County area of the earth that I'm in the state of Utah, the United States of America. And part of it is just how impactful the fact that this is an eternal documentation of information that could never change and I could never take credit for, and I never decided. There's a lot to this, and there's a lot to who we are as In the Image Clothing Company, so judge all you want. If you think you know what we're doing and you're wrong, because we're only doing what we're doing even if we're wrong, okay? So condemn me for what I have said, because at that point you're only judging. This is like an episode of In the Image Clothing Company podcast, by the way. This is how they are a lot of the time, is me just speaking as I do when I do speak, because I document it, and so there it is. It's just been done, so that's what I mean. The past is in the past, and you know, I used to be someone different than I now am, and, you know, we're all just progressing closer to God as we can, where we can, if we can, and we can, but not on our own, so we rely on the strength of Jesus Christ, because we can do all things through Christ, which strengtheneth us, okay, as his children, sons and daughters of God. We all have extensor, longus muscles, and the word hallucis is between extensor and longus in the technical terminology. But some people don't, right? And some people are born with no legs. Maybe you've got an amputation from the knee down, from the hips down, from, you know, wherever it is in the body, and you don't have feet or ankles. Then you don't even care about this video probably, and that's fine. You don't need to even look at this video for your own sake if you don't have an extensor hallucis muscle, extensor hallucis longus muscle yourself. I'm pretty cold too, you know, but it's uncomfortable. It's very physically uncomfortable. Right now, my body is, right? It's kind of apart from me. I'm just experiencing the pain. But I'm going to stay here as long as I'm going to stay here in this position. And then we'll cut this video and, you know, go on progressing through the rest of time as we know it. Being human beings on this planet, Earth, we're governed by time. So, we'll reach an hour for the sake of being governed by time, okay? In this video's length, which is only about a minute or two here, a little bit less than a minute as far as I'm aware. There you go. Okay, we get out of chronic patterning and scar tissue. Like I say, that's really what the point of the main side of In the Image Clothing Company is. That's the point of discussing clothing at all, or being a clothing company at all. It's not about fashion, but it's about function. There's only one way the human body can mechanically function, in all senses of all of its function. Shoelaces are just ropes. Okay, that's why the video's title is correlating the two. The extensor hallucis longus muscle and shoelaces. Okay, we put a lot of focus on shoelaces as In the Image Clothing Company. We talk about where clothing sits for everybody. I don't think I will do it in this video, and I guess we had more than a minute to get to 1 hour from when I said it there, about a minute ago from now. I'm not going to talk about where clothing sits in this video, not to hold any information back, but just, you know, we have a lot of information that we give, and I'm in this for life. We have all that we do documented in multiple places where we do, right? Just meaning doing so much under the gift of video. It's just about furthering and furthering and furthering our understandings of things, and then we just explain it and document it what we do. And, you know, I'm going to get Dante and I off this mountainside, and we'll go do whatever else we do. Probably grab some food at some point today, you know, to eat. Not only just to grab, but we'll ingest it. And we'll do it naturally, because we discuss eating naturally as one of the things we do under In The Image Clothing Company. Oh, let's talk about In The Image Clothing Company music if we get time to, before either the battery percentage dies in the device or something else, right? I'm shaking, as you can maybe tell. In The Image Clothing Company music. There's a helicopter behind me. I'm hearing the noise personally, okay? So In The Image Clothing Company music is 1/4 of In The Image Clothing Company. A lot of what we do is show how to not alter the neutral wrist with sizing and setup of guitar and the rounding in the hands. Well, the big thing is we just talk about fingernails and toenails and all aspects of life, just backing and supporting the fingers and toes fully. Cut relatively flat so we can just stay in the neutral position of the wrist and the foot arches grip, okay? With the pinky toe and pinky finger straight out from, you know, the outside of the lower leg forward with the pinky toe, the outside of the forearm, down and out the pinky finger is the neutrals, okay? It is what it is. There's only one way the human body could ever work. We also make a lot of music, rhythm and poetry, lyricism, spoken word, singing, guitar playing, all geared around the gospel of Jesus Christ with the messages in our music under In The Image Clothing Company music. We've got some series like Metronome Madness. It's a 40-episode series of just off the top, off the tempo, intentionally, lyricism, you know. Anyway, All In is a new series under In The Image Clothing Company music. TikTok Time Bomb is a series with, you know, percussive type stuff. We do a lot of cool things with music, okay? So stick around. We'll give a lot of insights on just life and all the ways we do. Come here, Dante. Come here, boy. Wake up. Come here. Come up. Come on. Say bye to the people on the camera. Oh, shoot. He almost fell backward. He just woke up and he had to climb up the little area there as he was still kind of sleepy, you know. Say bye to the camera. Good boy. Good boy. All right. Thank you. Let me just kind of like slowly extend out of this like he just did, right? That's what I'm saying. He was just laying there in the same position for quite some time, and he had to kind of like get up, and it took, you know, well, a little bit of time like I am here. Look, just for context, for my yelling being entirely okay to do at him earlier, I mean, look, he's stepping on his leash right now, but he's got length to it, right? It's just tied to a rock, but he can get all the way up here if he needs. He can get all the way down there. He didn't have to chew on the leash. And that's just not Dante's behavior. He doesn't chew on things. And so I was just really quite upset with him there for doing that. And I yelled at him pretty sternly, but he listens really well, and he has to learn, you know, dogs are pack animals. You have to be the alpha dog if you're the owner of a dog, if they're going to listen to you. Truly, that's how it works, you know. There's a tumbleweed. Watch out, Dante. It's okay. You see how God works? It's okay. Let me get that out of your way. I just, you know, I knew we needed to hit an hour with this video. I knew that I needed to call Dante up here to talk about him. And I talked about, you know, what I did there, and now the tumbleweed came and almost took him out, bro. He wouldn't have got hurt, but, you know, if I would have cut the video before then, we wouldn't have seen that happen. It might not have happened. I might have moved him out of the way and just started walking back to the vehicle we drove up here before that happened. And anyway, cool documentation. It's awesome. I'm just so grateful to God. Just so much gratitude for what we're doing here. And I'm grateful to Dante for just being awesome. You're awesome, buddy. He's awesome, okay? Look at this. This is what he did. I mean, this wasn't like this at all. That's what I'm saying. Like, he was actually really chewing, like, on it. He probably would have just chewed through it if I just let him keep doing it. Yeah, I've never seen him do that, is why it was a strange thing. Oh, come here, boy. Good boy. You did so good, just being so patient as you are. Okay. All right. Thank you. The 19th of December, 2025. My name is Evan Strong, the founder of In The Image Clothing Company. 1/4 of us is in the Image Clothing Company poodles, so a lot of this for life, right? Just hanging out with dogs like this. We'll have a lot of dogs. We'll do a lot of beautiful things with a lot of people and their dogs. Okay. Goodbye.